Hi everyone, Canoopsy here. This is the new 2021 M1 12.9-inch iPad Pro, the ultimate expression of Apple's vision for the iPad, with upgrades to all the best parts of the device. I've used an iPad Pro pretty much every day since the Pro line first dropped, and for long periods of time, the iPad has been my main computer. And after a few days using this iPad, I definitely have some thoughts. This is my review. Today's video is sponsored by Logitech and the new Combo Touch, a fantastic keyboard and trackpad case for the iPad Pro. With 360 protection, fully adjustable kickstand, and detachable case, this is the dream. Check it out at the link in the description. Okay, so first, the design. This thing is pretty much identical to the previous iPad, except it's slightly thicker and a bit heavier to accommodate the new display and more battery. But having a similar design to the previous iPad isn't really a bad thing. This design is still miles ahead in terms of the visual look. It's like holding a sheet of glass, solid all aluminum body so it feels premium, and pretty comfortable to hold, even being this big. I've used an 11-inch iPad Pro for the last few years, and switching to this 12.9-inch model has actually been kind of different and refreshing. Especially being at home so much, having a tablet this big for watching videos, working on art and projects, it's kinda nice. Now, speaking of the display, straight up, it's gorgeous. It's a mini LED panel, so it's close in a lot of ways visually to an OLED panel, with those super dark contrasty blacks that blend in very well with the bezel. Next to the 11-inch iPad, which doesn't have mini LED, just LCD, the blacks on that device are kind of gray, while here, they're deep blacks. But there is a problem which you've probably heard about by now called Bloomgate, I guess. Basically what it looks like is a subtle glow surrounding text or UI elements on a dark screen. For example, in a dark mode app, the battery section of the screen or the titles in apps like Notes have a white glow around them. When watching a movie with subtitles or play and pause on screen, those UI elements also have a glow around them. You'll only really notice this in apps that are in dark mode or have a lot of black or dark screens and light text or icons, and it's very noticeable, especially at night. Depending on how you use your iPad, you're going to experience this issue at some point throughout your day, and it is definitely kind of annoying, but it doesn't really ruin the experience of the iPad or the display for me personally, because the rest of the display, it's absolutely incredible. Colors are bold, vibrant, and accurate for projects where true colors are crucial. It's super sharp and text looks insanely crisp, and this display gets bright, like Pro Display XDR bright. Day to day with regular usage, regular content, it goes up to 600 nits of brightness, not bad. But with HDR content, up to a full 1600 nits of brightness, and that's crazy. However, that's only with HDR content. You can't manually turn the brightness up to that much in the settings or anywhere on the device. But just having that ability is crazy. When you're watching HDR videos, especially in 4K, it's absolutely gorgeous on this display. To the left of the display is the new upgraded selfie camera, which is now ultra-wide, and you can switch between wide and ultra-wide with the tap of a button. Basically, it just crops in or out. This is the front-facing ultra-wide selfie camera on the iPad Pro. It has a ridiculously wide field of view, it's crazy, and you're also hearing the microphone quality from this iPad right now as well. Let me know what you think. But the new center stage feature is actually a lot of fun. After you enable it for video call apps, if you move around or you get close or far away, it keeps you centered in the frame if you're in the field of view of the camera. And the range is kind of incredible, like you can go pretty far away and it still keeps you in focus and centered. This is a wonderful, wonderful feature. But it's only available for video call apps. It doesn't work in the regular camera app. And the rear camera setup with a wide and ultra-wide camera is actually pretty good. It's good for occasional photos if you happen to take shots with your iPad for some strange reason, and also good for document scanning. There's also kind of this secret macro mode where you can get really close to subjects and they still stay in focus. So I mean, that's kind of cool, I guess. On the other side of the iPad is a Thunderbolt port. What this enables is the ability to use Thunderbolt docks and accessories, taking full advantage of the speeds that Thunderbolt can actually offer. That's up to 40 gigabits per second. Also with Thunderbolt displays like the Pro Display XDR, it's the full 6K resolution and it's quite beautiful. I mean, I had to try it. And very quickly, the Magic Keyboard and Apple Pencil are the exact same as the previous versions. The Magic Keyboard is still great, still expensive, it just comes in white now as an option. And I can definitively tell you the white version of this case is not going to age well at all. The palm rest is going to look dreadful after a few months, and the outside of this case, it's not going to look great either. Besides that, solid typing, solid trackpad. I still wish you could tilt it back a bit more, and I still wish it was a bit lighter and easier to bring around, but it's pretty good. And the Apple Pencil. I haven't upgraded mine at all since the 2018 iPad, and it's still fantastic. Writing out notes, drawing rough sketches, navigating iPadOS, brainstorming, or even making all these wallpapers that I have on my website, all done on the iPad with the Apple Pencil. Honestly, I use the pencil more than I use the keyboard for daily work. If you're buying an iPad, you gotta grab the pencil. Now, besides the mini LED display, the other big feature for this iPad is the M1 processor inside. It's the exact same as the latest Macs, now inside an iPad, and it's very fast. Opening apps blazing fast, leaving apps and multitasking and revisiting them, even on this 8GB of RAM model, they just stay exactly where you left them. And doing split screen with supported apps, very smooth. No problems here at all with multitasking. In general, using iPadOS is an absolute dream on this tablet. But then again, all the things I just mentioned work incredibly well on the 2020 iPad and even the 2018 iPad. So I want to dive a bit more in depth and see how much faster this iPad is for more intensive tasks. Dealing with raw photos in Lightroom, everything is smooth, importing is quick. I even edited this video's thumbnail on this iPad with Affinity, and once again, it was a beautifully smooth experience. I imported a few large Photoshop files to see how they'd run on this device, and the iPad can handle it no problem. LumaFusion is one of the most pro apps available for the iPad today, and it's very similar to Final Cut Pro. So I threw together a 15-minute 4K video test, and during editing, the iPad barely even broke a sweat. And while exporting, it finished rendering in just 9 minutes, while the 2020 iPad Pro actually finished at pretty much the exact same time. So very similar render performance here between these two devices, but actually during editing, the 2021 iPad felt a little bit faster in my opinion. And testing out a few games here as well, tossing on PUBG, beautifully smooth even at the highest possible settings. And Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, you know I have to try it, very smooth here as well. It's one of my favorite games and runs incredible on the iPad. So certainly a bit faster feeling for some things versus the previous iPad, but in general, there isn't a huge performance leap yet. The apps I mentioned still run incredibly fast on the 2020 iPad Pro and even the 2018 iPad Pro, but if this is your first iPad, you're going to definitely be impressed speed-wise. Right now, it's stupid fast, but it's not even close to leveraging the amount of power and potential this processor has. Now, using this tablet for all my daily work like emails, doing video planning, drawing in Procreate, working on the occasional photo edit in Affinity Photo, watching videos on YouTube and Crave, battery life is solid. I start most days at around 7 AM and I'm on my iPad drinking coffee or replying to emails right away. And around 10 o'clock in the evening is when I hit around 10 or 20% on most days, and leaving it overnight without charging, I usually only lose about 2% battery by the morning. If you're watching a lot of videos or editing videos or drawing with full brightness on, you may have to stop and charge the iPad throughout the day or in the evening. I've personally had to stop and charge it once or twice throughout the day during my testing, but those have more so been heavier work days where I'm using the iPad non-stop. So this 2021 iPad is still an iPad, and that's a wonderful thing. It has a beautiful design, beautiful display, great accessories, and solid apps that are excellent for casual work or even pro work. If you commit to the iPad, you can make it your main machine or a great secondary machine for creative work. But I've been saying those exact same things about the iPad for the last few years. Nothing has really changed, but this year we're seeing things a bit differently because Apple made a really big deal about the M1 processor inside this iPad, and I've tested it, others have tested it, and the current apps and the iPad itself are barely even touching the potential performance it can offer. But this is something that might just be a temporary thing. With WWDC and possible huge software updates, and as developers update their apps to do more, it could be a seriously bright future for this tablet. Whether it's more pro Apple app support, the ability to run Mac apps, a new user interface, more multitasking power, better external display support, just a few things we've really all been asking for to take the iPad to the next level. Now, hypothetically, let's say Apple doesn't drop some crazy features or new software for the iPad. Then what? And either way, you're waiting till the fall for a public release of iPadOS 15. Well, here's my overall advice if you're planning to buy this tablet. Wait till iPadOS 15 is announced. Whether it's your first iPad or you're upgrading from a previous model, just wait. If anything stands out that's announced that you know will take full advantage of the iPad and all the M1 power, then it's worth considering. But if nothing really changes, which very well could be the case, the 2018 iPad Pro, 2020 iPad Pro, and even the 2020 iPad Air are still excellent options. They're fast, they're beautiful, they work incredible. And if you already have any of those devices, you probably won't need to upgrade either. So with this year's iPad, I guess we'll see very soon if things really are different. We've been saying this every single year, but this year very well could be the one. Today's video was sponsored by Logitech and their Combo Touch, a fantastic new keyboard and trackpad case alternative for the iPad Pro. This case has it all. Excellent keyboard with great travel and backlighting, tactile and responsive trackpad, as well as smart connector support. There's also a fully adjustable kickstand for infinite angles, different convertible modes for viewing or working, protection for all corners of your iPad, and you can actually detach the iPad from the keyboard while still keeping your tablet fully protected. And everything clips together with these strong magnets. If you want a great typing and trackpad experience and want to keep your iPad safe and protected at all times at a pretty fair price, check out the Logitech Combo Touch at the link in the description. Thanks to Logitech for sponsoring this video. So, what do you think of the new 2021 12.9-inch iPad Pro? Do you think it's worth upgrading to from previous iPad models? Do you think it's worth buying? What do you think iPadOS 15 is going to bring to the table? Let me know in the comments down below, like the video if you liked it, subscribe, and thank you for watching.